I decided it was time to give you an update and to show you what's going on outside instead of always being inside and showing you what's going on in my kitchen. I want to show you how my greenhouse is doing, and I want to show you how the garden is doing and things that I've done in preparation. And as well, another little surprise, I got my chickens this week, so I just thought I'd give you a little glance to show you how they're doing. But before we go outside, I just want to show you my sweet potato slips. So these are the slips that I started from the sweet potatoes that I had purchased last year, the sweet potato slips that I had purchased last year from that company in Manitoba. So I grew my own potatoes and saved them over winter, and maybe about a month and a half ago, started my sweet potato slips from those potatoes. And I gotta tell you, they're doing really well. Look at all those beautiful roots. It's just about time for me to change them and to put them in some soil until it's warm enough to put outside, because I'm still a couple of weeks away from my last frost date, so I can't put them outside anytime soon. But I did do some preparation yesterday in the garden to put my sweet potatoes outside. I must have at least, I want to say here between these 3 cups, 20 to 22, I think, slips. And I still got some more coming out on the potatoes that are downstairs. So I just wanted to show you how they look. They're absolutely beautiful. So now it's time to go outside. So that is the feeder that my husband had built for me last year. Absolutely love it. I can fit 4 bags of 50-pound seeds in that feeder. There's lots of space for the birds to eat. No issues at all. Absolutely love it. Come look at the sunshine. Go out and warm yourselves in the sun. All right, enough of the cuteness. Let's go look at the greenhouse. It's warming up in here quite a bit. It's already 76 degrees Fahrenheit. It's getting warm and it's pretty early in the morning. I do have some things that have been cut by cutworms, and in the soil that I got, I was a little bit surprised at first, and I thought the soil that I got was actually purchased from somebody who had like compost piles outside, and of course any kind of soil that you're going to get from outside is going to have a risk of carrying certain, eggs or any kind of bug that you don't want, or a pest inside of your soil. So it couldn't be avoided, but I am kind of going through and I've made little barriers around my vegetables to try to stop that from happening. And I also have a little bugs eating the leaves of certain things as well. Some things in the greenhouse have done really well. Others I'm kind of struggling with. So let me show you what I have going on in here, and you can see for yourself. So here are beets that I had started. Some of these I had started indoors and brought outside, and others I had sowed directly. Mostly these over here that I sowed directly here into the greenhouse. And as you can see, those are actually doing better than the ones that I tried to start from inside. So what I am struggling with, it's mostly my beets that are being cut by cutworms. So what I do is every once in a while, I just, kind of take a stick and kind of run it in the soil to try to find them. And I do find them. So these are the beets. I have some tomatoes over there that aren't planted yet, and I'll tell you why in a minute. So over here is the broccolini. This really did poorly. So this did poorly in the basement. They sprouted really quick, but once they started growing, they would just almost look like they were dying. I planted them outside. The only 2 that really survived are these 2. And now, as you can, I don't know if you can see or not, the leaves are being devoured by something. And then I directly sowed some as well, and I put like a little barrier around it to see if it would stop, and those are already growing, the ones that I sowed, so we'll see if those do any better. As you can see, I did put in an irrigation system. I don't know if you can really see it. You see little blue and red tips in here. And that is a little bit of a struggle as well because it's pretty far away from the house and I get good pressure at the beginning of the line, but by the time it gets to the end of the line, I get no pressure. We'll see what I can do to fix that problem. Over here are the peppers that I had started inside the house. And as you can see, there's something as well. These haven't been affected by the cutworms, but something is eating the leaves. And I wasn't expecting to have those problems inside a greenhouse. So I don't know if you have any suggestions on what I could use to stop whatever it is that's eating the leaves. I've tried different things, homemade remedies and stuff that my dad swears by, but it doesn't seem to be working. So I'm at a loss of what I could do because I have a feeling that it's going to be a complete loss for my peppers fairly soon. I hadn't planted all my peppers yet because I kind of ran out of room, so I left some inside of these pots for now. And as you can see, and they're not in the soil, I have them over there on the side. And look at these, nothing is touching these. Nothing is eating the leaves off of these peppers that are not inside. It's the same soil. I use the same soil in these pots, but they're not planted directly into the planters. They're just off on the side. And nothing is eating that, so that's really strange. I have some green beans that are doing really well. I just have a couple that have been really eaten really bad, but the rest seem to be doing really well. And over here in the corner, my father has some cucumbers planted as well. I don't know if you can see, he put a lattice. He wants to try to grow them vertically. So he put a lattice and these are growing really well. And you got to remember, we're still having some pretty cold nights with frost. I have some basil here in a planter because I ran out of space. And this is an entire front row of tomatoes all the way to the other end. So as you can see, I planted quite a bit of tomatoes and I have some more growing in planters down on the ground. So yeah. I go through a lot of tomatoes. What I'm really excited to show you is that these tomatoes have been here for a while, even way before our last frost dates. We've had some really cool nights, like -5 nights. The tomatoes did really well. Nothing froze. They're flowering, so I make sure to come and shake them and, you know, to pollinate them, to tap the leaves. And if I show you, where is it? If you look at this, these are sun gold tomatoes. So like a little tomato, they're going to be yellow. And look, I already have a little tomato coming out there on that plant. And this one is a Roma tomato. And look, I have already 3 tomatoes coming out on this plant right here. So I am quite excited. So the tomatoes are doing really well here in the greenhouse, which was to be expected. I have some spinach coming up. This is kale that I had planted last year, kept in this same planter over winter, put it here in the greenhouse over winter, and it just started growing back on its own, so I didn't even have to replant kale. So that just started from last year's kale. I have some red onions growing back there. This is dill. Remember I told you I was going to plant dill for my dill beans? It's doing really well here in the greenhouse. I think it's doubled. I've got some rosemary coming up here, and I've got some more basil here and some more basil there. So I am quite excited, and I'm having fun experimenting with different things as well. So now let's go check out the garden. I don't know if you can hear all the birds chirping. I swear it's not sound effects that I put into the video. The birds are just singing. It's such a beautiful morning. So if you remember last year, if you haven't seen that video, be sure to check it out. I had laid down a ground cover to plant my garlic. Ooh, the sun's glaring in my eyes. And so I wanted to see how that was going to work out for the winter here in this region. I did have a little bit of struggles. It's very windy, so it's hard to keep down. But let me show you my garlic, and I'll let you see for yourself if you find that it worked out really well. So let's have a look at the garlic. I think it's safe to say that the ground cover worked really well for the garlic. I mean, look at this. It's like a field of garlic. I must have like 300 cloves of garlic growing here. I am so excited, and they're just doing absolutely beautiful. I haven't had to weed, It's really working well for weed control, and that's exactly what I wanted. So far, so good for the ground cover for the garlic. I will let you know when I harvest them to see if they look like they're bigger, if they're more beautiful, but up until now, they just look absolutely wonderful. So, good job on the garlic. And last, but definitely not least, yesterday I worked at laying out this ground cover here, and as you can see, it's quite the stretch. It needed quite a bit, and you'll see that I have logs down as well. And the reason why I have the logs down is because there's quite a bit of wind here. So I put this down just to help. I also have staples, like landscaping staples, but those aren't enough. So this is just like a little bit of an extra protection to help me keep this ground cover on the ground where it's supposed to be. So this is where I'm going to be planting my sweet potatoes as soon as the weather warms up enough and the soil is warm to help them to grow. So I do hope you enjoyed this update on my garden, on what's going on outside. If you did enjoy this content, give it a big thumbs up and be sure to check back again soon.